Hello, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for watching us. Thank you for following our channel. For those of you who haven't followed the channel yet, make sure you click below, you follow our channel, you subscribe, and make sure you like and share this video if you find this video very helpful to you. And so today we're going to talk about the different type of solicitation and notices that you can find in government contracting, primarily on SAM, but also in government contracting in general, right? Depending on the agency that you work with, or depending of um, at which level of government contracting you work with, whether it's federal, s- state, city, or county, there are um, different type of solicitations that they usually push out, and it's very important to understand those different type of solicitations because based on your business goal, based on where you at in the government contracting, there are certain opportunities that you there are certain type of opportunities that you definitely want to go after, and also um, when you go after specific opportunities, you have to be able to know and identify the end goal of that opportunity, right? Let's say you're looking at an opportunity where they only need a quote, right? You go and you have to be able to understand, okay, the end goal of that solicitation is for the agency and the procurement officer to be able to have quotes that they will evaluate, and maybe from there they will send out the actual solicitations, or maybe they will just reach out to a few people to be able to start the conversation of maybe having an opportunity sent your way, right? So that's why it's very important to understand all those different type of solicitations, because it helps you to know, okay, what's the end goal of this specific um, solicitations, and you can draft your response accordingly, right? The way you will respond to a RFP, it's really different of the way you will respond to a source of south, or maybe to a RFQ, or maybe to a special notice, or maybe um, to a modification notice, right? So you have to really be able to understand, the difference among all those solicitations. So without further ado, let's go. We're gonna go right into them. And also, please make sure before you continue to watch this video, I would really appreciate any support. Feel free to subscribe, or share, comments. I would really appreciate it. It takes a lot of times and research to do a lot of effort to make those videos. I really appreciate any support I can get and from my audience watching this video. All right, thank you. Okay, so let's get started here. We have about 10 to 15 that are usually coming up when it comes to government contracting, and that's at all level, right? No, they may have different names, across the spectrum, but the most common names is what we're gonna be using here, we're gonna refer to the SAM's way of calling those different type of solicitations. So if you bid on the county or state level and you haven't heard those words being used, or the terms that I'm going to be using, it's okay. There may be something relatable on the state level, because I'm going to be using the terms used at the federal level, right? So the first one that we're going to talk about, the pre-solicitation notice. So a pre-solicitation notice, it's a type of procurement notice that pretty much gives an announcement to an upcoming contract opportunity before the formal solicitation is issued. So when you have a procurement officer, working on a specific opportunity that is going to be coming up, he can issue what's called a pre-solicitation. That's going to help them to announce what's coming, and that's going to allow the different vendors to prepare for um for future bids coming down the pipelines, and it will allow them to have the time to do, research and plan how they can respond to that specific pre-solicitation. Plus, one advantage of that is if you are someone who's um, trying to identify what's coming in the government contracting space, what are the opportunities that are going to be, what are the areas that are going to be um, needing a lot of help, like what specific areas the government is going to need a lot of help. You can use pre-solicitations to have an idea of what's coming down the pipelines so that you know how to develop your strategy coming up ahead of time, right? So pre-solicitations are a very good way. I've seen some of my clients using that to help them draw a solid plan on what's coming next. So those are very informative solicitations. Again, they're not necessarily opportunities that you need to take actions on, but it's good for your own information. Like you need to be able to know what's coming next, right? So this is kind of a good way to use pre-solicitation. So next year we're going to talk about the second one that I want to talk about is RFP. Now I'm going to combine RFP and RFQ together just because working with many clients, I've learned that the best practices is to treat a RFP, is to treat a RFQ like a RFP. Again, you're not gonna hear a lot of people saying this, but from working closer with CEOs and vice presidents, senior vice presidents, because that's who I get to work with when I step in as a consultant to help a company win government contracts. I work directly with the CEO, the founders, the senior vice presidents, the directors, legal. I work a lot with the legal departments because some of the proposal that we work with for my bigger clients, we have to review them, so that everything is compliant, right? So from my experience, we usually treat RFQs are RFPs. So let's talk about RFPs and RFQ in general. So those are a type of solicitations that the government issues where they request a proposal. RFP, stands for request for proposal. RFQ stands for request for quotes. Those are pretty much proposals that you have to respond with in order to explain your understanding of the service and the scope of works needed by the government. And also in the RFP, we always add a quote. In the RFQ, there is, of course, the RFQ is a quote, so there's gonna be a quote in there. So, but like I told you, we treat the RFP like a RFQ and the RFQ like a RFP. So that means the same way we write the RFP with a quote in there, we also write the RFQ the same way. Again, not a lot of people do that way, maybe not, but those are the best practices that I've learned, right? Yeah, and then so those are used to usually used for when the agency or the procurement officer have identified that they need a service. They already have an idea of the really specific service or product that they need, and they've done enough research on that, and then they issue that solicitations to allow vendors to send their proposals in. So all right, next we're going to talk about combined synopsis solicitations. So this is a type of solicitations that pretty much combines the pre-solicitations and solicitations into one single notice, and those are typically used when it comes to simplifying acquisitions under a specific dollar threshold. So that's kind of where I've usually seen the combined synopsis solicitation being used. And next year we're going to talk about sources out. So those sources out are very, very powerful. I know a lot of people normally when they search for opportunities, they go directly search for RFPs or they go directly search for RFQ, but what many people forget, it's source of south, very, very powerful. I'm sure you've heard government contracting, it's a relationship based business. That's very important, and it is true. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to know someone in the government contracting space, or someone in in the procurement office, or someone in that agency in order to win the contract. It doesn't mean that. But what it means is that it's a business that you become better the more your name shows up within the space, the more contracts you win, the more people you know in that space, the better you're going to perform. So when it comes to source of SAR, let's first talk about what they are, and then I'm going to give you the advantage of maximizing your chance of winning contracts with source of SAR. And I've seen that from some clients, and they always respond to those, and many good opportunities comes from those. So what are source of SAR? So source of SAR are pretty much market research that the procurement officer issues. It's a notice that the procurement officer issues for to do like a market research to help them identify potential vendors who can fulfill a specific requirement. So those are usually used by the agency in order to be able to assess competition and determine acquisition strategies, right? But then from the vendor standpoint, from a potential government contractor standpoint, or even from a government contractor standpoint, this is an opportunity for you to put your company's name out there. You know, in this specific request, they don't need any pricing or anything. They just or sometimes they do, depends, but they don't always. It's not like a formal quote that they need. It's more like they need more information on the service that they're trying to fulfill, or a service that they think they might need. But then when they have a, a, a firm or a company that has experience in the field that comes and explain them exactly the process that they should follow, or the services that they need in details, with all the different requirements that they might need, with all the different pricing and ideas of how they can approach to solve specific issues that they may encounter, it puts your company out there. That, oh, this vendor gave me this very nice response for our source of SAT. That's already one step ahead compared to the companies that did not do it, because usually it starts with the source of SAT, and then if they use the source of SAT to collect all the information from the market research and be able to see if there is enough competitions and vendors to fulfill their need, and then sometimes they go directly to the RFQ, or sometimes they go directly to an RFP. It just depends. Every agency, every procurement officer does that differently, but it's a good entry level opportunity for you to be able to put your company name out there, show that you master the topic and the services that your company provides, and then use that to be able to make your company stand out to the procurement officer. Because by the time you provide the documents from the source of SAT, if you're able to stand out and they release a RFQ, your company is already there. They already seen your company. You've provided the source of SAT, your market research, pricing, and all that stuff, or potential pricings, based on what they might need. And then they go RFQ, you respond again. They go RFP, you respond again. You see that consistency, helps in that process, because your name keeps showing up. You've been giving very good, solid information, very good, accurate information, pricing, proposals. Now your name keeps showing up. That's why, it's a good way to build your pipelines in order to win contract. I've seen a lot of clients don't wing it. They like starting with South to South to build a relationship with the agency and the procurement officer. By the time the RFP comes out, they've already built the relationship. So it helps. A very good way. It's a good strategy to use South to South. Now, let me say something. In some other agencies, South to South is called RFI, like request for information. So you may heard South to South, or you may hear RFI, request for information. Those are pretty much the same thing, so just keep in mind. Now you have another type of notice called special notice. So in the special notice, those are notices where we need to provide informations on the about the contract about the contract related events, industry days, or unique acquisition circumstances. So those are pretty much like, if there is anything going on in the specific agency or industry within the government contracting, that's where you're going to see those events, those special notice. Like I say, it's mainly for events, seminars, um any if there's any like public information that has to be published, from a agency or from a specific um, the government department, they're going to use the special notice to do that. Those are also a good opportunity because when you join there, whether it's virtual or in person, you put your company's names out there. You get to ask questions. When you ask questions, your name is there, your company's name is there, your logo is there. You get to create you have opportunity to create a good impression for your company, and that might lead later somewhere if you keep doing that on a consistent basis, right? So those are very good opportunity to put your company's names out there. So yeah, so I would definitively recommend to use those, to be able to attend upcoming events, and sometimes they're used to make awards already made, especially for grants and stuff like that. Okay, now we have the next one that we can talk about is award notices. Now those are announcements made by the procurement officer or the agency to pretty much announce who won that specific contract or specific solicitations. So those are pretty much used to inform the public and the competitor about the selected vendor who won that specific bid, right? So those are good to use to be able to identify companies that you're competing with that are actually winning and that you might consider reaching out and partner with as a as a sub. Let's say you just started and you're trying to figure out a way to get in because you keep bidding, you're not winning. You can just go in a specific industry, search for those companies that have been winning. So for that, you have to use award notices. You put the specific next code that you are in, and you see all the companies that have won, and then from there you can kind of research those companies and see, if there is room for collaborations at some points to help you get into the door. A lot of big companies that wins, they always need subcontractors, so don't even feel like you're gonna bug them. Big companies in the government space, they know they need small business in order to be able to keep winning because some contracts requires them to work with sub contractors. So I'll make sure to to leverage those as well. So next we're going to talk about justifications and approval notices. So those provide justifications for contracts awarded without full and open competitions. So those are usually used when contracts pretty much assured is okay. Those are mainly used for like when there was like a sole source procurement that came out, or like with specific exceptions. They have to be able to explain like, okay, this is why this was a sole source, and this is like why this had like specific exceptions, and then this is why it was awarded to that company. So they pretty much have, because the government tries to be transparent with all the vendors so that everybody knows what's going on. So it's pretty much a solicitation that just goes, it's more like a informative solicitation that just pretty much explains and justifies why this was awarded to that person or that company or whatever. So they explain, they're gonna explain based on because it was a sole source, or because there was specific exceptions on there that will help that made us go that route, right? So this is try to be transparent on that. And the next one is going to be cancellation notices. So cancellation notices are pretty much, it's an announcement of a cancellation of a previous issued solicitations. That happens once in a while, not often, but it happens. So they use when an agency decides not to proceed with procurement, and if there is a replacement, they will usually communicate that as well. Hey, we cancel that, but then this is the new one, and so on. So that happens once in a while. I've seen that before. Now the next one, it's gonna be modification notices. So modification notice is a type of solicitations where the government announces changes to existing solicitations or awards. Those are used when there's amendments or updates to the contract. When there's amendments or updates to the contract. So that's when you will see modifications notices. Now the next one is RFI. I think we have talked about that. Yeah, RFI. Again, RFI, it's almost like a source of salt, because they both request information, but usually source of salt is more on the market research or feasibility type of research and stuff like that. But then the RFI could really be about anything, right? So the RFI is usually just to collect information from the industry, for planning purposes. Again, kind of the same thing as a source of salt. So so very, very, very close. Honestly, many agencies use them interchangeably, so it just depends, on the procurement officer or the agency, but yeah, they usually help agency to understand vendors' capabilities before issuing a formal solicitations. Now, I've seen few cases where they go directly from RFI to to select qualified vendors, and then from there only the qualified vendors get to bid. So when you write any proposal, any response, make sure you treat any response always almost like a comprehensive proposal, because you never know who you compete with, and you want to make sure you provide your best shot, provide the company's best shot in order to win that specific contract. So yeah, and then the next year is intent to sole source. This is a procurement to notify the public of a government intent to award a contract to a specific vendor without competitions, and those are used when only one source can deem capable only when one source is deemed capable of fulfilling the contract requirements. So there are specific industries where this gets applied to. I've seen, let's say, let me just take an example, right? I don't want to give any specific names here, but let me just talk about, let's say, in defense, right? Let's say the government needs a new robust airplane that's gonna do something crazy. Let's just say, I don't know what they're trying to do, but just an example. More likely we can see how they can give Boeing, for example, like a sole source contract, right? So it's just an example like that, right? Or let's say the government needs like 100 cars for a new department, right? They can probably give a sole source to Ford, because the government seems to use a lot of Ford vehicles. So in that case, you might select a sole source. So in that case, other companies won't be able to come and bid because they only want Ford vehicles, right? That's just one example. So yeah, so it's really important to understand those type of solicitations, because when you plan your government contracting journey for the next couple of months of the next year, you have to be able to understand the flow. All those type of solicitations work together, or you can leverage them to be able to get to your end goal. Because when you go straight to the RFP and the RFQ, the competition is higher, but those low-hanging fruits like the RFI, source of sales, the special notices for upcoming events, the source of salt, and what else here? Like those, or the pre-solicitation notices too, like all those low hanging fruits. you can maximize on them too. You can grab onto those to build the relationship so that your company's name is out there, or you're providing free information, but sometimes might lead to contract opportunities, because sometimes if they really like the information that you provide, they can, depending on the agency, depending on which level. I've seen um I was working with a client in California out of Sacramento. um, um, the city government was requesting RFQ, no RFQ as request for code, but RFQ as request for qualifications. Because again, I told you those words can be played so many different ways based on the agency, based on the, so yeah, that's what they use RFQ for, request for qualifications. So we went, I helped her draw a request of qualifications. Very good one. We took a lot of time into it. Nice, beautiful documents and everything. She submitted everything. The next call she got was an award. I was like, whoa, I was like, I didn't expect anything. I didn't expect anything. So this is wanted to know who was qualified, but we provided all the information to say not only we qualify, but based on what you need, this is all we can help you. I'm like, we didn't just say that, oh, we qualify and this is why we qualify. No, 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 no. I made sure it was a comprehensive response. This is all we qualify, this is why we qualify, but this is how we can also help you to achieve your goal, because they had stated the goal, or what they were trying to get and why they needed that information. And then she got a call that, okay, I think we gonna give you a spot. And then she got a call. I was like, wow, so you never know. That's why you want to treat every single response as, as a very good opportunity for you to make your company stand out. Don't mess with those. Always be professional. Always make sure that every communication that you have with the government is professional. All right, it was nice to spend some time with you. I hope you liked everything. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, whatever, comment. Let us know what do you think. What did you think of this topic? Is there any specific topic that you want me to go more in details, or is there any specific topic that you would like me to talk about? Just leave that in the comment section. And then yeah, it was nice to spend some time with you. Make sure you click below, already.